We're here today on RealAgriculture.com with Ann Dunford for the beef market update. Welcome today, Ann.
Hi, Sean.
Okay, Ann, when we talked 2 weeks ago at the International Livestock Congress, we talked about feeders being nervous about the fall. We've seen a few changes in prices since then. What's been happening? Well,
we had amazing, I'm calling it an explosive jump in the U.S. last week. We had a $5 increase in their cash cattle prices, and that was led by a similar increase in their wholesale prices. So very strong down there, good demand, moving the product, packers jumping on the cattle. A little bit of a surprise because these prices in the U.S. are the highest August prices we've ever seen. We got close back in the summer of 2008, if you remember, but these prices now go down as record prices for the U.S. So take that back to the Canadian scene. We were sure looking for more last week. Didn't quite happen. A little bit of an increase, a little bit more of an increase today. I'd say we're trading kind of 91 to 93 in Western Canada on fat cattle today. And again, packers got very long with inventories, so we've still got cattle around us here in Western Canada. Packers are carrying some inventory again, and we've widened the basis. I would have liked to seen this market get a little stronger today, but inventories just aren't going to let it happen. And again, instead of a $9 to $10 basis, looks like we're going to be more like 12 to 13.
Would the 10 to 13 basis be fairly close to the usual average for this time of the year?
September is one of our widest months historically for Western Canada, so are we surprised that we're losing a little ground going into September? History says no. 9 to 10 here at the end of August is pretty typical, so we're a little disappointed with that 12-13 range, and I think we might have trouble fixing that much here in the next couple of weeks. Get September under the belt, and then traditionally we see basis levels narrow.
Let's just jump back to the U.S. really quick. What was the reason for the $5 snap up?
Well, I think there's a lot of things going on. First of all, big pork prices. We've had record pork cut out in the U.S., strong export demand, so you've got that commodity moving quickly. Here again, like I say, kills have been good for U.S. packers. They're killing cattle. Just recently it looks like they're going to back off, but again, moving product through the system. And again, today I'd suggest maybe a little bit of sticker shock going on. Some of these higher prices are now moving through to that retail level, and product movement has slowed down considerably, and we're hearing some talk about cutting kills going forward. So you get a flash in the pan, and right now we've got a little bit of sticker shock to go with it. Well,
let's hope there's some longevity to a bit of a rally here. We definitely need it. You mentioned the retail. Last year we kind of struggled with demand. What is the outlook or some of the reviews of demand so far this year?
Well, there's no question wholesale prices have been higher. We move more product at higher prices, so from a demand equation, that's a positive move on the demand side. Some of it's come from export. Exports have been better, especially out of the U.S. this summer than they were looking at last summer, so that's where some of the demand pickup has been. And again, from competitive meats, specifically pork. When pork's in a strong state, it most certainly helps support beef. Are we on a runaway? I think now we'll start to see, we're still getting some very mixed messages on the whole economic side, especially in the U.S. in regards to recovery, and talk of just a much slower recovery than we thought. So is that going to put a bit of a lid on this demand improvement that we've seen so far this year, or are we going to be able to continue to move beef higher? We'll have to wait and see on that one.
One of the things that concerns me at the retail point is that right now there's a lot of attention in the media about food prices going up. A lot of that has to do, of course, with the wheat market. But if we are paying more attention to food prices, is that going to move over to the beef side and hurt our demand side?
At this point, I'm not going to suggest that that's the case. I think it's going to be a more from an economic perspective, are we going to start to see consumers feeling more confident about going back out to those higher end restaurants, and that's where some of our biggest losses in demand happened over the past 18 months. So those are the kind of things we're going to watch for. Having food prices in the media, of course, on the front page, it's front page news for now, but I don't think it's going to last there forever.
Okay. In terms, you may have mentioned it, but in terms of demand, a lot of the demand in the past 12 months has been in hamburger. Are we optimistic about the restaurant trade in the middle meats picking up?
The middle meats most certainly have been the driver in what's happened here in the past couple of months. No question about it. Lean trim, the hamburger product that we talk about, has been very strong, but it most certainly also looks like it's stalemated or stalled out at the high levels it's been at. So this increase that we've seen lately has come from middle meat.
Let's jump ahead here. As I mentioned, we talked about being nervous before. some packers have been slow to lift cattle here in Canada. As we look into the fall here, could that turn around very quickly where we do actually maybe have a shortage of a bit of a hole?
I hate to use the word shortage and hole. They rarely come true, but I do think we've got a tighter supply once we get September out of the way from a fat cattle perspective. And even though cattle feeders are nervous, and we talked about that 2 weeks ago, you've got higher, of course, feed costs likely going forward. We've got higher yearling prices, so our input prices are higher on the cattle going in. We've got higher break-even, so that's always a nervous thing. But it sure looks like cattle feeders, nervous or nervous not, are going to put cattle on feed, and they continue to be pretty aggressive keeping them here in Western Canada.
Okay, Ann, well, we will talk again in 2 weeks, and look forward to it.
Okay, thanks, Sean.